The coming months bring big changes for Tian Xuning, serious tests and pressure for Ziyu, and as a duo a phase that feels challenging but full of hidden potential. In this video, we'll look at their horoscopes individually and together to understand why December 2025 will be intense for them and what the next months have in store. You'll also see how what unfolds ahead is deeply connected to what already started back in 2024. Hello stars, welcome back to my channel where I analyze the horoscopes of your favorite BL couples. If you're new here, my name is Beatrice, I'm an astrologer and a big BL fan, and today I'm taking a look at the horoscopes of revenge love stars Tian Xuning and Ziyu. I already made a video about their compatibility and relationship. If you haven't seen it yet, you'll find the link in the description. Usually I don't make any update videos, but many of you have asked for an update because you are curious what they are doing now, more than a year after Revenge Loved finished filming. Well, let me tell you, there's a lot going on, with many things happening for them as a duo in December 2025 and also in 2026. As you will see, many of these things are actually the completion of a process that started back in 2024. I already knew it, but while I was analyzing their horoscopes, I was reminded once again how fascinating astrology is. You will see in a moment that very important astrological transits interestingly happened exactly when the series was filmed, again when it aired, and they continue this winter and in the first months of 2026. Before we start, a reminder that everything I say in this video is just my interpretation of their horoscope. It's not official information or some secret insider knowledge. I don't know them or their team personally, so this is just my opinion. I would also love to hear your opinion and if you connect some things they have done with what I'm saying here. I just kindly ask you the following. If you post a theory, please mention that it's a theory. We don't want anyone to take the information as being official and spread misleading news. Thank you. And just a quick info how this video is structured. First of all, we look at Tian Xuning's and Ziyu's individual horoscopes. Then I will talk about their joint horoscope. So let's start with Tian Xuning. Tian Xuning is currently going through a process of deep transformation that started in February 2024 and will last until April 2026. I already mentioned in my first video about this duo, and you will also see it in the next minutes. There were tons of things happening between March and May 2024. This is a period when, in my opinion, they auditioned for the roles as Chi Cheng and Wu Wei, or they signed the contracts. Something definitely happened then, because there are way too many transits at the same time that certainly didn't pass unnoticed. This process that started for Juning in February 2024 is one of the most intense, life-changing transits a person can experience. It forces old wounds, insecurities, and buried fears to surface. Not to hurt him, but to strip away what no longer belongs to the future version of him. The person emerging at the end of this cycle no longer relates to the world in the same way as before. The role as Chi Cheng arrived at a moment when Juning was shedding an old skin, and it probably became part of the process. It might have been like a mirror, drawing emotional material from deep within him and activating or accelerating personal change. At the same time, there was another transit that always causes important changes in a person's life. It influenced him between June and November 2024, so when the series was filmed, again in May-June 2025 when the series started airing, and will continue between January and March 2026. This transit brought and will still bring sudden creative openings, inspiration, and unexpected shifts in direction. These were moments when instinct mattered more than planning and when new possibilities appeared quickly, sometimes without warning. Knowing about these two major transits, we understand why 2024 felt both disruptive and defining for Juning. There was an inner pressure to change paired with flashes of creative freedom. This strongly influenced both his personal life and his career. But there's more. On top of that, another transit brought repeated phases of uncertainty around action and assertion. These phases were between June and September 2024, then again in April and November December 2025, and will last into early 2026. With this transit, there can be hesitation about how hard to push, when to fight, and when to retreat. These periods teach a more conscious use of strength, one that does not come at the cost of emotional well-being. Moving into 2025, Tian Xuning entered the phase of testing and consolidation. From April 2025 until mid-January 2026, responsibility increased and still increases, self-doubt may surface, and external evaluation becomes unavoidable. The workload feels heavier and expectations rise, especially as professional visibility grows. This period coincides with the public reception of revenge love. The shift from lesser known work to public scrutiny brings a new level of accountability. Performance choices and long-term direction are no longer purely personal decisions. Yet this is not a weakening phase. Beneath the pressure, there is a quiet strengthening. Throughout much of 2025, deeper inner restructuring took place, allowing him to approach challenges with more control and strategic awareness. Instead of being overwhelmed by expectations, he learned how to use them to shape his future path. Up until June 2026, the overall astrological climate supports disciplined effort, stamina, and sustained motivation. Progress may feel slow at times, but it's solid, intentional, and lasting. During this period, Tian Xuning's natal asteroid Juno becomes a focal point. It sits at a critical degree in his birth chart, meaning that it plays a special role in his life. Asteroid Juno represents commitment, but also love and marriage. It's located in Leo, the sign representing performance and acting. This placement indicates that performing with a partner or having a creative partnership could be a turning point in his life. And here comes something even more interesting. This point, his Juno, was strongly triggered in June 2025, in November 2025, and will be triggered again around the 15th of December 2025 and in April 2026. With this transit, existing agreements, expectations, or professional alliances are destabilized. Sudden changes, shifts in power dynamics, or the urge to break free from restrictive roles may arise. This activation suggests that certain collaborations that Tian Xuning had before no longer align with who he is becoming. What feels unstable now is preparing the ground for partnerships that allow greater authenticity and creative autonomy. Now let's see what happens in December and in the coming months. Between the 10th and 12th of December 2025, themes of responsibility, realism, and long-term planning dominated. There was a sobering clarity about what can be sustained and what cannot. Around December 15 to 17, themes of relationships, values, and public image come into sharp focus. A desire for harmony, approval, or emotional closeness clashes with deeper, more uncomfortable truths about direction, autonomy, and unspoken desires. There may be tension between what feels pleasant or socially acceptable and what feels raw, authentic, or inevitable on a soul level. Certain connections or expectations can no longer be maintained simply to keep the peace. At the same time, there is a grounding influence that helps bring maturity and realism into these matters. Commitments that are built on respect, patience, and long-term thinking can stabilize the situation. This is a moment for clear boundaries and conscious choices in relationships and professional alliances, favoring what endures over what merely feels good in the moment. Similar themes return around the 25th and 26th of December, but with greater awareness. By this point, it becomes easier to distinguish between obligations that support growth and those that quietly drain energy. From mid-January 2026, the emotional tone shifts. Sensitivity increases, intuition sharpens, and artistic inspiration flows more freely. This is a period of heightened imagination and emotional openness, highly favorable for performance and creative expression. The time around the 18th of January, plus minus 5 days, brings a lot of passion. On the positive side, this could mean an improvement in his intimate life. On the negative side, this transit could be related to wanting more freedom or to taboo topics that come to the surface. It also sometimes involves jealousy, cheating, or being betrayed. Here comes one thing that is important for him during this time, but also for the fans when reading news about him. Between the 12th and 20th of January, don't believe everything you hear or read. Late January into early February 2026 brings sudden positive events and visible expansion. Confidence grows, opportunities multiply, and he gets more recognition. Momentum builds quickly, and optimism replaces the heaviness of the previous month. By June 2026, themes of reclaiming personal authority and refusing compromise that undermines authenticity become stronger. What began as inner pressure in 2024 now manifests as outward strength and independence. And last but definitely not least, here comes the most important transit for Tian Xuning for the coming years. From February 2026 to February 2027, transiting Pluto conjunct natal Uranus signals a powerful turning point that happens only once in a lifetime. This is not a subtle change, but a complete reorientation, personally and professionally. This phase often coincides with breaking away from old labels, redefining public identity, and taking bold creative risks. Decisions made during this time reshape the long-term future. Revenge love was not simply a project for Tian Xuning, it marked a threshold. The period from 2024 to early 2026 reshapes him at a fundamental level. The pressures, delays, and emotional intensity all serve a purpose to prepare him for a more powerful, self directed phase of life and career. This is not a story of struggle for its own sake, but of becoming unmistakably aligned with his true path and stepping into a future that no longer resembles the past. Tian Xuning's current horoscope shows changes but is mostly positive. Meanwhile, the youth horoscope shows a more challenging, maybe even painful process of transformation and in the end healing. In his case, what happens in the next 1 or 2 years doesn't go back just to 2024, but to 2019, the year when he became an idol trainee. But let's start with what's happening right now. He is in the middle of a process that involves transiting asteroid Chiron, triggering multiple points in his natal chart. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. In transit, it brings old wounds back into awareness, not to reopen them, but to show where healing, growth, and a new understanding are now possible. From May 2024 and until the end of January 2026, Chiron's sextile natal Saturn forms a steady background influence. This is a subtle but powerful transit. It supports healing through discipline, patience, and responsibility. Growth does not come through shortcuts, but through showing up consistently, even when things feel slow or emotionally demanding. This long process overlaps with several more challenging Chiron transits. It activated asteroid Juno in May-June 2024, March-April 2025, and now again between November 2025 and February 2026. This repeatedly highlights tensions around commitment, professional alliances, and expectations placed on him by others. These periods probably brought discomfort, forcing him to question what kind of partnerships truly support his growth. Then he had Chiron forming a positive aspect to natal Venus, the planet of love, in July-August 2024, April-May 2025, October-November 2025, and again early 2026. This transit offers emotional healing through connection, art, and self-worth. These windows suggest moments when relationships, creative work, or public appreciation help restore confidence after periods of strain. However, expansion, ambition, and devotion to work came at a price. In his natal chart, the Yu has a powerful cluster of planets in Cancer. His Mars, the planet of desire and action, sits right next to Jupiter, representing optimism and expansion, and asteroid Vesta, symbolizing devotion. I talked more about it in my first video about the revenged love stars. From mid-2024 to early 2026, transiting Chiron challenges these planets. Overexertion, pressure to prove oneself, or conflicts between passion and limits are important themes. This is especially relevant during filming or promoting phases when enthusiasm runs high but energy must be carefully managed. In my opinion, this transit also indicates that his sudden huge success and, for example, being literally followed everywhere by invasive fans overwhelmed him and he needed or still needs time to adjust to that. Well, if you ask me, it's not him who should be adjusting, but these toxic fans who should stop chasing him obsessively. Okay, so these were the Chiron transits. But there are two other transits that started in 2024 and that show that both that year and also 2025 felt mentally demanding even when external progress was visible. March April 2024 and again September 2024 to February 2025 were periods of uncertainty, blurred signals, and self doubt. Decisions may have felt confusing, communication unclear, or expectations hard to define. This influence often brings creative sensitivity but also mental fog. The periods between late April and early May 2025, then mid September to mid October 2025, replaced confusion with pressure. Words matter, decisions feel heavier. There may be fear of saying the wrong thing, choosing the wrong path, or being misunderstood. This transit forces maturity in thinking, communication, and planning. And it will happen again in January 2026. Fortunately, there are also some positive things happening in the youth horoscope, especially starting 2025 when revenge love moved from production into public awareness. The pressure was real, but so was his inner strength to handle it. From March 2025 until early January 2026, the stars provide endurance and controlled strength. This is one of the most supportive influences in the youth chart during this time. It allows him to work hard without burning out if he respects his limits. This is reinforced by another positive influence in March April 2025 and again from October 2025 to January 2026, which supports focused ambition and dedication to a larger goal. Efforts made now are not wasted, they are laying foundations. Now we've come to December 2025 and what will happen next. The days leading up to the 13th of December 2025 carry a charged and restless atmosphere. Thoughts move quickly, plans can change suddenly, and conversations may feel sharper than usual. There is a strong urge to act, speak, or decide immediately, yet the mental pressure is high and misunderstandings are possible. This is a period that favors quick instincts and bold moves, but only if he remains aware of how reactive the environment is. Ideas come fast and so do challenges to existing plans and strategies. But at the same time, between the 9th and 16th of December, a positive aspect in his horoscope hints at opportunities, lucky breaks, or support appearing when effort has already been invested. On the 13th of December 2025, the emotional tone deepens. Responsibility and self-evaluation step into foreground, bringing moments of seriousness or inner heaviness. External expectations, society's rules, authority figures, or timing itself may feel restrictive. At the same time, emotions intensify. Relationships, professional bonds, and public perception are experienced on a deeper level with little tolerance for superficiality. This is a turning point where certain feelings, desires, or power dynamics can no longer remain hidden. What feels intense now is also transformative. In the days that follow from December 14 to 18, the atmosphere softens slightly, allowing for more cooperation and emotional understanding. Supportive interactions become possible, especially in creative or professional contexts. Agreements, alliances, or conversations that honor mutual respect help stabilize what felt overwhelming earlier. This window allows you to reconnect with what feels emotionally and creatively aligned, even if the broader situation remains demanding. On the 23rd of December 2025, plus minus 2 days, thoughts and conversations turn intense and penetrating. There is a strong need to get to the bottom of a situation, uncover hidden motives, or speak truths that were previously left unsaid. Communication carries weight and impact. Words can transform dynamics, influence decisions, or reveal something crucial. This is a moment for honesty and psychological insight, but also one that requires care. What is said now can leave a lasting mark. The challenging transits are not over yet, but during the next months they bring growth and opportunity. One of them that started mid-May 2025 and lasts until mid-April 2026 signals a personal awakening. Old strategies no longer work. New ways of thinking, planning, and defining identity emerge, sometimes suddenly, sometimes through disruption. A particularly intense moment within this longer process comes around the 8th of May 2026, plus minus 5 days, when deep, often suppressed themes rise to the surface with force. It's a time of confronting raw truths about power, autonomy, desire, and maybe even jealousy, cutting away what no longer feels authentic. While uncomfortable, this confrontation is liberating, marking a point of no return in how the you relates to control, identity, and personal truth. From October 2025 until early June 2026, transiting Jupiter meets the you's natal Jupiter. This is something that happens only once in 12 years. Jupiter is the planet of optimism, expansion, and growth, and this is a classical next level transit. Growth, visibility, and confidence increase. Since his natal Jupiter is also close to Mars and Vesta, this will also be activated. Ambition and dedication grow stronger, but so does the need for balance. Another very important transit will be Saturn squaring his natal Sun. Saturn pokes our Sun once every 7 years, usually to ask if we are on the right path. This will happen for the year from June to September 2026 and again mid-February to late March 2027. He last experienced a similar transit in 2019 when he became a trainee. That earlier phase marked the beginning of his career as a singer. Now this cycle revisits unfinished business from that time. If there are still some unsolved matters related to that company or to his former group, they will be solved now. Any doubts, structural weaknesses, or questions about identity and direction will be addressed directly. This is not a setback, it's a consolidation. What began in 2019 is now ready to evolve. If there will be something about his former company at all, it's just so he can leave it all behind him. If it's related to his career, especially to music, this transit will mark the beginning of the next chapter. The youth path from 2024 through 2026 is not defined by sudden breakthroughs alone, but by resilience, healing, and steady growth. The coming years are about turning sensitivity into strength, confusion into clarity, and effort into lasting achievements. What once required endurance now begins to offer recognition, and what began as training evolves into true professional authority. Now that we've seen their individual horoscopes, let's take a look at their joint horoscope. Pay attention to whatever happens around the 13th and 20th of December 2025. They both have many things going on in their individual horoscopes, but even more is happening in their combined horoscope. Before we start, there is something important that I want to kindly ask you. If you like my videos and want to help me make more of them, please subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me a lot. If my channel grows, it will allow me to dedicate more time to making these videos in the future. Thank you very much. Whether they are just co-workers, friends, or something more, it is clear that Tian Xuning's and Ziyu's meeting was not accidental. Their story begins long before the public noticed them as a duo and continues well beyond the single project. What unfolds from mid-December 2025 is the moment when everything that has been building since 2024 becomes impossible to ignore. First of all, let me mention a very important transit that was happening in April-May 2024 when I think they auditioned or signed the contract for Revenge Love, or something else related to the series happened. The same transit happened again in February-July 2025, the time when Revenge Love started airing. And we have the same one again in December 2025 to February 2026, closing the cycle. If you ask me, during this time we will definitely see something happening. What I can say is if it's related to the series, for example something like a director's cut, a second season or whatever, fingers crossed, or if all of this is related personally to the actors. In any case, this very important transit points to a karmic encounter that reshapes both of their individual life paths. All trajectories, plans, or identities that once felt set are questioned through the connection itself. Each return of this theme brought a deeper realization that continuing exactly as before is no longer possible. The bond acts as a catalyst, redirecting them away from familiar but limiting patterns and pushing them toward a future path that neither of them would have chosen or reached on their own. During 2024, their connection was shaped by a confusing and emotionally charged atmosphere. Boundaries were unclear, motivations hard to define, and certain feelings or shared goals may have felt difficult to name openly. This period overlaps with the early phase of revenge love, script reading, filming, and the private intensity of working closely together before public exposure. What was happening between them required discretion, sacrifice, and emotional restraint. In 2025, that fog gradually gave way to pressure and responsibility. Expectations, both internal and external, became heavier. What once felt fluid now demanded structure. Certain shared instincts or passions were tested. Could they survive limits, rules, and reality? This phase asked them to take their connection seriously, whatever form it takes, and to decide what is worth sustaining under pressure. A defining feature of their bond is their Mars at the very last degree of Pisces, a critical point that carries urgency and emotional intensity. This placement suggests that their shared drive, whether creative, emotional, or physical, demands resolution in this lifetime. Nothing about their dynamic is casual. When they act together, create together, or even clash, something meaningful is set in motion. Throughout 2024 and 2025, this shared Mars was repeatedly activated. At times it dissolved boundaries, amplifying empathy, longing, and emotional truth. At other times it demanded discipline and maturity, forcing them to slow down, define limits, or confront the consequences of acting or feeling alone. These cycles mirror their real-life timeline: intense creative closeness followed by periods of restraint, distance, or careful control. Yet there are also moments when this Mars energy is supported by sudden courage and bold action. When that happens, their shared drive finds clearer direction. They are most powerful when instinct and strategy work together, when emotion is translated into performance, imagery, and storytelling rather than impulsive action. From October 2025 onward, the dynamic between them grows louder and more visible. Their connection is stretched by heightened emotions, attraction, and projection from the outside world. What people want from them may not always align with what they can realistically give. Between the 12th and 16th of December 2025, the energy between them intensifies in a way that is both instinctive and revealing. A raw magnetic drive comes to the surface, pushing their shared dynamic into visibility. Feelings or impulses that may have been kept under control suddenly demand expression. This is not reckless energy, but honest energy. What emerges now reflects something true and unavoidable about how they act together and what they awaken in each other. The 13th of December 2025 stands out as a pivotal day. There is a natural sense of alignment and recognition, as if their shared present flows more easily and is noticed without effort. At the same time, all sensitivities connected to their bond, like past misunderstandings, emotional exposure, or wounds carried through their collaboration, are activated, but with the potential for healing rather than damage. This moment favors compassion, softness, and a deeper emotional truth. From December 13 to 15, momentum builds in a constructive way. Confidence grows, optimism returns, and their shared drive is supported by a feeling that expansion is possible. Acting together, creating together, or simply being together carries a sense of purpose and forward movement. What begins as intensity transforms into motivation, reinforcing the idea that when they move in the same direction, doors open more easily. In the days that follow, from the 19th to the 23rd of December, the tone deepens further. Power dynamics, truth, and commitment come into focus. Conversations and decisions during this time carry weight. This is not about public labels, but about internal alignment, what this bond truly means, and how it can exist without self-betrayal. Around the 31st of December 2025, a raw truth within their bond comes fully into the light. What may have been sensed or hinted at earlier can no longer remain in the background. This is a moment of recognition where authenticity matters more than comfort. The connection resists being shaped by expectations or convenient narratives, insisting instead on being seen as it truly is. As the year turns and throughout January 2026, this honesty begins to work in their favor. What once felt risky or difficult to acknowledge now supports their shared direction. Their bond aligns more clearly with purpose, strategy, and future growth, helping them move forward with greater confidence and intention. By choosing truth over concealment, they strengthen not only their connection, but the path they are meant to walk together. This could be a period when cooperation becomes tangible, working together, supporting one another publicly or privately, or standing united in purpose. At the same time, communication becomes central. What they say, how they frame their story, and how they present themselves together carries long term implications. From February 2026 onward, their bond enters a deeper, almost otherworldly phase. Collective themes like dreams, ideals, art, and illusion move to the forefront. Their connection becomes less about personal validation and more about what they embody together. From 2026 onward, the meaning of their pairing expands beyond them as individuals. In July 2026, a powerful moment arrives when their shared path aligns clearly with future purpose and creative intelligence. This is a turning point when their collaboration or the idea of them as a duo can actively shape narratives, especially through performance. Their work speaks where words cannot. This is also a time when something huge and positive happens for them. Besides wishing them all the best for their private life, let's all manifest and hope to see them working together on a new project. By late August and early September 2026, themes of truth, courage, and authenticity intensify again. Their shared values and energy come together in a clear way, giving them the courage to express themselves more openly. This is when the bold side of their bond becomes visible. They motivate others, question old rules, and slowly push the limits of what is considered acceptable. As hinted in their relationship horoscope from the beginning, I'm convinced that they will change the public's perception of homosexuality in mainland China, without being loud, but in a way that can't be ignored. This doesn't have to be a direct political act. Their influence works through emotion, imagery, and lived experience, of a time that makes rigid structures feel hollow and outdated. This influence that they have on the public opinion will be stronger in August-September 2026. Tian Xuning and Ziyu were not brought together merely to play roles side by side. Their bond carries urgency, sensitivity, and purpose. It asks for courage, restraint, and emotional truth in equal measure. Whether their connection remains professional, personal, or something unspoken, it serves a larger function to show that vulnerability can coexist with strength and that art can soften boundaries that once seemed immovable. Now you know all I can tell you about Tian Xuning's and Ziyu's horoscope for the coming months. I will make two more update videos like this, one about Wang Yibo and Xiaojian and one about Smart Boom. My next regular videos, so couple horoscope analysis, will be about Xu Jin from Kill to Love, Kang Namping, and Pont Puwin. Make sure you won't miss any of these videos. Hit the subscribe button and turn the notifications on. Until next time, shine bright like the stars.